At first, they're convinced they have all the power. They assume you'll always be there, always reaching out, always chasing, always making them feel wanted. In their mind, it's a cycle that never breaks. Even if they pull away, they expect you to step in and close the distance. That's just how it has always been. They've seen it happen before. So why would this time be any different? But then something shifts. You stop playing your part in their script. You don't react the way they expect. You're not checking in, not making them your priority, not pouring your energy into keeping the connection alive. At first they don't care, or at least that's what they tell themselves. They brush it off, convinced it's just a temporary game. Maybe you're trying to make them chase. Maybe you're just testing them. In their mind, they still have control. They believe without a doubt that you'll break first. So they wait. They wait for the message, for the call, for the moment you cave and remind them that they still matter. A few days pass, then a week, still nothing. At first, it's just a small thought in the back of their mind. Nothing serious, just a fleeting curiosity. They wonder why you haven't reached out. They check their phone more than usual, scrolling through old conversations, maybe even opening your chat before quickly closing it. They tell themselves it's no big deal. I could reach out if I wanted to. They think they're probably just waiting for me. But they don't. Not yet. Because they're still testing, still convinced that you'll be the one to give in first. But as more time passes and the silence remains unbroken, something shifts. What was once confidence starts to crack. The thought that you might actually be done, truly done, creeps into their mind, and suddenly it doesn't feel like a game anymore. There's discomfort and unease, a quiet sense of losing something they once took for granted. They thought they controlled the dynamic. They believed they had the final say in when to engage and when to withdraw. But now, for the first time, it doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like something is slipping through their fingers. Doubt seeps in. They replay moments in their head, searching for signs they missed, wondering what made you finally walk away. Their ego tells them to stay quiet, to wait it out, to see if you'll return like you always have. But deep down, something feels different this time. The silence isn't just a pause, it's a statement. And the longer it stretches, the more unsettling it becomes. Number one, when the tables turn and they start to feel it. At first, they act like nothing's changed. Indifference is their armor. They convince themselves you'll come running back just like before. But then a realization creeps in, one that shakes their confidence. What if they miscalculated? What if this isn't a game to you? What if this time you're really done? That thought alone unsettles them in a way they never expected. Suddenly, questions they never had to ask before start echoing in their mind. Did I do something wrong? Why aren't they chasing me anymore? Did they meet someone else? The same person who once felt secure in your attention now feels insecure in your absence. And that's when they start looking for little ways to pull you back in. They won't come out and say they miss you. No, that would be too vulnerable. Instead, they test the waters. A picture they know you'll notice. A vague caption meant to stir curiosity. A song lyric that speaks the words they aren't ready to admit. Maybe even a casual message, something harmless on the surface, but designed to see if you'll bite. And here's where most people get it wrong. This isn't them missing you, not yet. This is them checking their control. They don't want you back. What they want is reassurance. They want to know that despite everything, they still have a hold over you, that at any moment, with the slightest effort, they can reel you back in. Because if you respond too quickly, if you jump at the chance to engage to prove you're still there, then the game resets. They get their answer. They win. And just like that, the tension is gone. They don't have to chase. They don't have to value what was lost because to them, you were never really gone. And that's where the real test begins. If you want them to feel the full weight of your absence, you can't just vanish for a few days and then fold the moment they reach out. They need to feel what it's like when they no longer have control over your attention. That means discipline. That means restraint. Because this isn't just about making them miss you, it's about making them see you differently. A person doesn't chase what is always available. They don't crave what they believe will always be there. They don't respect what doesn't respect itself. If they believe they can have you whenever they want, where's the urgency? Where's the value? It's only when something is truly at risk of being lost that people start to realize what it meant to them. And once they start to see you in that light, everything shifts. That's when the unraveling begins. At first, they believed your silence was temporary. They were so sure you'd be back, they always come back. But now, time is proving them wrong. The days pass, and you're still not reaching out. You're not checking in. You're not trying to fix what they thought you always would. Suddenly, the ground beneath them doesn't feel so steady. This isn't just about missing you. It's about something deeper, something that hits at their sense of security and their self-worth. Because here's a truth many don't want to admit. Knowing that someone is emotionally invested in them provides validation. Even if they weren't fully committed, even if they were distant, even if they never truly appreciated what they had, the knowledge that they could have it if they wanted was enough, until it wasn't, until that silent assurance disappeared, until the certainty of your return became a question mark. And that's when the panic sets in, because now they don't just feel your absence, they feel the loss of control, and control for them was everything. Number 2, when the hunter becomes the hunted, they never thought this moment would come. Even when they barely responded, even when they dismissed your efforts, they still liked knowing you were there. That certainty was comforting. The knowledge that no matter how distant they were, you were waiting, you still cared. But now that certainty is gone, and when someone loses the guarantee of your presence, the mind starts racing. Did they meet someone else? Why haven't they broken yet? Have they really moved on from me? They never fully committed before, but they never truly believed they could lose you either. That possibility never crossed their mind, not really. And now it's staring them in the face. The weight of that realization is heavier than they expected. This is where emotions start working against them. The same person who once felt in full control now finds themselves second-guessing everything. The script has flipped, and instead of being the one making the decisions, they're suddenly on the receiving end of uncertainty. They check your social media more than they'd like to admit. They notice the silence, not just in their notifications, but in conversations with friends. Where there used to be your presence, your attention, there's now a void. And that void is unsettling, because before, even when they were distant, even when they put in little to no effort, they still felt like they could reach you whenever they wanted. But now they're not so sure. And uncertainty is a dangerous thing. It creates emotions they can't control, reactions they never saw coming. It makes them feel something they never expected. Panic. People tell themselves stories to justify their choices. I don't need them. I've moved on. I have other options. But emotions don't care about logic, and right now their emotions are screaming one thing loud and clear: loss. And loss is powerful. It forces people to reassess what they once took for granted. It makes them realize the difference between having something valuable and losing something irreplaceable. For the first time, they don't see you as just someone who was always there at their convenience. They see you as someone who could actually be gone. And that thought is uncomfortable, because if they let you go, they have to face a harsh truth. There's no guarantee they'll find someone like you again. They might try to distract themselves, go out more, spend time with friends, maybe even entertain other people, But none of it fills the space you left behind, because validation from random people is easy, but real connection is rare. And when they start feeling the difference, that's when the panic turns into something even stronger. Regret. They no longer see you as just another person in their life. They start seeing you as the one who got away. And that realization, that's when everything shifts. Everything shifts. They can't ignore what they feel anymore. They can't convince themselves they don't care. And that's when they start doing something they swore they'd never do. They start chasing you. Number 3, when ego fights, emotion wins, regret. They never thought it would come to this. In their mind, they believed they could move on without looking back. They convinced themselves that losing you wouldn't matter, that you were replaceable, that distractions, attention from others, and a packed social life would be enough to fill the space you left behind. But something isn't adding up. The nights out feel hollow. The jokes don't land the same way. The attention from others gives a temporary rush, but it fades just as fast. No matter what they do, something is missing. And then it hits them hard. The only reason they thought they were in control before was because they never actually felt the loss. They assumed you'd always be an option, that you'd always be within reach. Now, for the first time, they're realizing what it means when someone truly walks away. And that's when everything shifts. This isn't just missing you anymore. This is a need for reassurance, a need to know they haven't lost all control. But here's where the real conflict begins. Their ego is at war with their emotions. The emotional side wants to reach out, wants to fix things, wants to pull you back in. But the ego doesn't want to admit they were wrong. It refuses to let them be the first to fold. Pride whispers that reaching out is weakness, and fear tells them that if they do, they might not like the response they get. So instead of openly admitting what they feel, they test the waters with a casual message, something that seems harmless but is designed to see if you'll engage. A reaction to an old post, hoping you'll take the hint. Maybe even a subtle reference to a shared memory, trying to remind you of what once was. And this is the moment where everything is decided. Most people fail right here. The second they get even a small crumb of attention, they rush back in. They take the bait, eager to prove they're still there, still waiting, still hoping. And just like that, all the power shifts back. The fear of losing you is gone. The regret disappears. Because the moment they know they still have you, they don't have to change. They don't have to fight for your attention. They don't have to value you in any real way. And the cycle resets. This is why your reaction in this moment is everything. Right now, for the first time, they're truly feeling the weight of your absence. And with that absence comes something they didn't expect: respect. Not because you begged for it, not because you tried to prove your worth, but because you took it away when they stopped valuing it. And that changes everything. Number 4, when the fear of losing you becomes real. This is the moment of truth, the moment when they have to make a choice. Do they put in the effort to win you back, or do they fade away, proving that they were never truly afraid of losing you, only afraid of losing the control they once had? And here's where the real test happens. Do you let them slip back into your life with ease, allowing the cycle to repeat? Or do you hold your ground, making it clear that if they truly want you back, they have to prove it? Because a person who genuinely values you doesn't just send a random message and disappear again. They don't throw out breadcrumbs, hoping you'll chase like before. No, they start showing up in ways they never did before. They become consistent. They put in effort, not just for the moment, but to keep you. And if they don't, if they remain half-hearted, if they expect you to do all the work, if they vanish the moment you don't respond the way they hoped, then they were never afraid of losing you. They were just afraid of losing the power they had over you. And a person who knows their worth never settles for being an option. That's when the real breaking point happens. They tested the waters. They sent those subtle signals, waiting to see if you'd take the bait. A message, a like on an old post, a vague attempt at conversation. Before, it wouldn't have taken much. You would have jumped at the chance, proving that you were still there, still waiting. They had control, and they knew it. But this time something is different. You're not reacting the way you used to. You're not chasing, you're not seeking their validation. And that shakes them to their core. Because what does that mean? It means you've changed. And that's where the fear truly sets in. Because if you've changed, it means they might have lost you forever. That realization sends a shock through their system. A battle begins inside them, one between their ego and their emotions. Part of them wants to act indifferent, pretend like it doesn't matter. But a much bigger part, a part they can't ignore, is starting to feel the loss in a way they never expected. They'll try to convince themselves they don't need you. They'll tell themselves they can replace you. But deep down, they know the truth. They know that someone who truly walks away is someone who may never return. And that thought, that's what makes them panic. This is the moment where their desire for you peaks. Not because they simply want you back, but because they need to know if they can get you back. It's no longer about affection. It's about proving something to themselves. That's when the behavior shifts. Suddenly, the messages have more effort behind them. Not just a quick hey, but something more thoughtful, something that actually tries to pull you in. Maybe they bring up an inside joke, a shared memory, anything to reignite the connection. Maybe for the first time they openly admit that they miss you. And why? Because now they feel the loss. Now they're not acting from a place of security, but from a place of fear. Fear that they misjudged you. Fear that they waited too long. Fear that you've leveled up so much that you no longer see them the same way. Because here's the truth. Once someone realizes they don't have control anymore, they start seeing you as a challenge, and that's when they start chasing you. Number 5, when they realize they've lost the irreplaceable. They've been through every stage: indifference, doubt, frustration, panic, and now they've reached the final one. Full-blown realization. The moment it finally hits them that losing you wasn't just about losing a person. It was about losing something far rarer, a connection, a presence, a feeling they might never experience again. At first, they thought they could replace you, that the world was full of options, that all it would take was a few distractions, some attention from others, and they'd be back in control. But reality has a way of humbling those who take something valuable for granted. Because now they've seen what's out there. They've interacted with others, had conversations, gone on dates, entertained new attention, and yet something feels off. Something is missing. Most people they meet aren't like you. They don't carry the same energy. They don't have the same presence, the same depth, the same confidence. They chase too easily. They give away their attention without hesitation. They try too hard to impress, lacking the quiet strength of someone who knows their worth. And now, when they look back at you, they see something they never fully appreciated before. You were different, and they lost that. This is where the regret becomes unbearable, because now it's no longer just a thought. It's a reality they have to live with. They don't just want you back anymore. It's deeper than that. Now they need you back. The absence they once ignored has become impossible to shake. And yet here's where the final shift happens. Because now it's no longer about what they want. It's about what you want. It's about what you want. And this is the part they never saw coming. The person they thought would always be there. The one who once waited, who once gave without question, who once saw them as the prize, no longer exists. That version of you is gone. You've changed, you've leveled up. You've realized something far more powerful than anything they're going through. You were never meant to be with someone who had to lose you just to see your worth. Number 6, Knowing your worth. They say that self-worth is like a rare treasure, something that must be recognized from the very beginning or risk being lost forever. For every high-value individual, the lesson is both simple and profound. You never have to chase or beg for appreciation because true value shines on its own from the very start. Those who see your brilliance do so instinctively, while those who fail to notice miss their chance entirely. Imagine your worth as a rare diamond, dazzling in the light. If someone doesn't see its luster at first, no amount of later regret can restore what they never truly valued. When someone returns after wandering through a maze of regret, it becomes clear that their sorrow is not your burden to bear. As the old saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. Their remorse is like the bitter taste of stale wine, a flavor too late to savor the richness you once offered. You might ask, what if I try to fix what's been broken? Consider this. Is it your duty to mend the shattered pieces of their newfound realization? The truth is, it isn't. Their regret is a mirror reflecting their own miscalculations, a silent admission that they were blinded by short-sightedness. They come back only when the clarity of loss strikes them like a lightning bolt, illuminating a truth they once ignored. In that moment, it becomes evident. You never actually lost anything. Instead, it was they who lost you. Much like a fleeting shadow vanishing with the dawn, now you find yourself at a crossroads. Do you extend another chance, risking the possibility that they might never fully appreciate you? Or do you press on with the wisdom gained, ensuring that no one ever takes you for granted again? It's a decision that speaks directly to the heart of self-respect. As a wise soul once said, if you value yourself, you'll never settle for less. This isn't merely about salvaging what once was. It's about affirming that your worth is inherent and non-negotiable. In the quiet moments of reflection, you might wonder, what if they come back with apologies and promises of change? Yet history has shown that true change is measured by actions, not by fleeting words. If their actions fail to align with your intrinsic value, then their return is nothing more than a hollow echo of what might have been. Let your mantra be this: your worth isn't determined by the regret of someone who only now realizes what they overlooked. It isn't your responsibility to fix their broken perceptions or fill the void left by their failure to appreciate you when it mattered most. Instead, hold your head high, knowing that every setback is a stepping stone on the path toward a future where you are cherished without compromise. Picture a river carving its way through solid rock. Each twist and turn, every obstacle overcome, only deepens the river, making it more powerful and majestic as it flows onward. In your journey, each moment of regret experienced by those who fail to see you is merely a testament to their own short-sightedness. As you continue forward, remember that true high value lies in recognizing that you deserve to be surrounded by those who honor your worth from the very first encounter. Their late regret isn't a remedy for what was lost. It's simply evidence of their inability to grasp the beauty you've always embodied. In the end, you alone hold the power to decide who remains in your life and who fades away like a passing storm. Every challenge you face reinforces the truth that you will never be taken for granted again. Your worth remains intact, undiminished by their loss, and every experience, whether filled with joy or regret, is a lesson that solidifies your understanding of self-value. This is the lesson every high-value individual must learn. Your value is inherent, undeniable, and meant to be recognized from the very start. Do not waste time on those who return only with hollow regrets. Instead, let their loss be your liberation, a reminder that sometimes the best opportunity lies in knowing when to let go and in trusting that the right people will see your worth immediately. In the end, when you truly understand your own value, everything changes. You step forward with the confidence that you were never meant to be taken for granted. Number 7, the price of worth, a lesson in self-respect. They say that true value needs no introduction. It radiates from within like sunlight on a hidden gem. High-value individuals understand this instinctively. They never have to labor to prove their worth or chase validation from someone who fails to see it from the beginning. The moment someone truly notices their brilliance, it's already clear. Those who recognize it do so immediately, while others remain forever blind to the treasure before them. It's much like a rare vintage wine. If you appreciate it on first taste, you savor its essence. But if you miss that moment, no amount of regret can bring back that first sip of exquisite flavor. As an old adage goes, if you don't know your worth, you won't know what to do with it. When someone finally returns filled with remorse and regret, it becomes painfully obvious that their sorrow is a reflection of their own loss, a bitter acknowledgement that they squandered the chance to appreciate what was always right in front of them. Their regret is not a burden you must carry, nor is it your responsibility to mend what they left broken. Instead, it serves as a mirror, showing that they were the ones who lost something irreplaceable. In the quiet aftermath of that realization, you see clearly that you never really lost anything at all. The loss belongs solely to them, who now find themselves grasping at fading echoes of what they once had. At this crossroads, a crucial question arises. Is it worth opening the door once more, risking that fragile chance for a second take on something that was already undervalued? Or is it wiser to walk away, letting their regret remain a lesson etched in time? A reminder that not everyone is destined to recognize genuine worth. They might come back with a flurry of apologies and promises of change. But history teaches us that true transformation is measured not by words, but by consistent actions. One might ask, what if they prove different this time? Yet the truth is evident in the quiet spaces where their promises echo hollowly like a whispered secret lost in the wind. Consider the analogy of a mighty river. Its strength is not defined by the obstacles it meets, but by its relentless course. Every setback, every moment of regret by those who failed to see its potential, only carves the path deeper, reinforcing the power of its flow. In this same way, every instance of neglect, every missed opportunity for someone to appreciate you, only fortifies the realization that your worth remains unshaken and undeniable. You stand as that mighty river, steadfast, unyielding, and destined to continue your course regardless of who tries to dam your flow. They must come to terms with the fact that your presence was never meant to be a fallback or a safety net for their insecurities. When someone finally understands that losing you is akin to losing a once-in-a-lifetime experience, it's a bitter pill to swallow. They realize that your value was never about filling a temporary void, but about offering a deep, enduring connection that defies replacement. It's like watching a brilliant star fade into obscurity. Its light, once taken for granted, is now remembered with a longing that comes too late. In that stark moment of reflection, they learn that the chance to truly appreciate you was available only once. Their late regret, no matter how heartfelt, cannot undo the fact that they let the moment slip by. They are left with a legacy of what might have been, a tapestry woven with missed chances and quiet remorse. And you continue forward, unburdened by the weight of their oversight. Your value remains intact, a testament to the truth that those who are meant to be in your life will recognize you immediately, without the need for protracted regret or drawn-out apologies. Ultimately, the lesson is profound and liberating. You never lose what was truly yours because those who fail to cherish it were never meant to hold it in the first place. The regret of those who come back is not a call to action for you, but rather a gentle reminder of your own worth, a cue to keep moving forward, confident that you deserve to be seen, appreciated, and valued from the very first glance. Their loss is not your failure, it's their blind spot. In this light, every experience, even the ones marked by their regret, is a stepping stone toward a future where you are never taken for granted again. Number 8, when true worth shines through. They say that true value doesn't need to be taught. It simply radiates from within, unmistakable and undeniable. In the realm of genuine worth, there's no need to chase after validation or labor to be appreciated. Reality is simple. If someone truly sees your brilliance, they recognize it from the very start. If they don't, then the opportunity to cherish it is lost forever. Picture a rare uncut gem. Its luster is evident to those with discerning eyes. But if someone fails to notice it when first offered, no amount of later regret can bring back that initial sparkle. At some point, when a person who once overlooked your inherent value finally comes crawling back, regret fills their words and action. Yet in that moment of their epiphany, it becomes clear that their remorse isn't your burden to bear. Their regret is like a late sunset, beautiful in its own right, but far too delayed to recapture the warmth of the day. It's not your responsibility to mend their oversights or fix what they failed to appreciate when it mattered most. The truth, as they eventually come to understand, is that you never truly lost anything. It was they who let go of something irreplaceable. One might wonder, what if I tried to patch things up? What if they promised to change? But wisdom teaches that promises made in the echo chamber of regret are often as fleeting as a whisper in the wind. Their newfound realization is merely a reflection of their own loss, a mirror showing them the depth of what they failed to grasp. In the quiet aftermath of their self-reflection, you'll see that the regret they carry is not a call for you to step in and fix everything, but rather a confirmation of a hard-held truth. Those who truly matter recognize your worth instantly. Think of it like tending to a delicate garden. A gardener who truly values a rare flower waters it daily, ensures it gets sunlight, and nurtures its growth. But if someone only shows up when the flower begins to wilt, offering half-hearted care out of guilt or regret, then they never really appreciated its beauty from the start. Their tardy care cannot restore what was neglected in the crucial early days. Similarly, if someone only comes back after wandering through the arid lands of regret, they find, much to their dismay, that you have already blossomed into something too extraordinary to be revived by their belated attention. The lesson here is profound and liberating. You are not defined by the remorse of those who only now recognize what they once overlooked. In every encounter where your value was dismissed, you have grown stronger and more self-assured. The realization dawns like the first ray of morning. Your worth isn't dependent on someone's inability to see it in time. Instead, it is an intrinsic quality, immutable and steadfast. As a wise soul once remarked, you were never meant to be a backup plan. Now, standing at this crossroads, you have a choice. Do you allow someone who only now regrets their oversight to step back into your life? Or do you recognize that every such encounter is but a lesson on your journey to self-respect? This decision is not about right or wrong. It's about honoring the truth of your own value. For those who eventually come back with apologies and promises of change, remember that their actions in the past have already spoken volumes. Their regret, no matter how sincere it may seem, is just another reminder that you were never truly lost. It was they who lost the opportunity to cherish you from the very beginning. Imagine a ship that sailed away because its captain failed to appreciate the sturdy vessel that had carried them safely through turbulent seas. When the captain finally realizes the ship's worth and longs for its return, they find that the ship has sailed on to new horizons, stronger and more resolute. Their belated remorse, no matter how earnest, cannot reverse the course that has already been set. In the same way, the recognition of your worth is not something you owe to those who only now come to see what they once ignored. In the grand tapestry of life, every missed chance and every moment of regret by others is merely a thread that weaves the story of your strength and self-respect. You stand as a testament to the fact that true worth is recognized immediately and never needs to be justified. Embrace this truth, knowing that every experience, especially the ones marked by others' late regret, serves as a stepping stone toward a future where you are cherished without hesitation. Ultimately, you remain the constant, unchanging force shining brightly, regardless of who fails to see your value in the first place. Number 9. When regret comes knocking. A high-value person never has to spend time teaching someone to appreciate their brilliance. They shine so brightly that those who see their worth do so from the very first glance, while others miss the opportunity entirely. Imagine a rare diamond. If someone fails to notice its sparkle immediately, they risk losing a treasure they can never reclaim. As the old adage goes, a gem unappreciated remains lost in the rough. In the same way, when someone eventually returns with regret and wistful apologies, it becomes crystal clear that their sorrow is not your burden to bear. Their regret is a delayed echo of a truth they should have recognized long ago. In that moment, you realize you never truly lost anything. It was they who let slip away the brilliance they once overlooked. There may come a time when you're tempted to wonder, what if they come back and promise to change? Or should I try to fix what was broken? But remember, genuine worth requires no mending. Their belated remorse is like a wilted flower, beautiful in memory, yet too late to be revived by careless watering. The fact remains that someone who values you does so from the start, with no need for prolonged regret or half-hearted attempts at redemption. Their return, marked by apologies that fall as flat as autumn leaves, only confirms that your value was never in question. It was their perception that faltered. In essence, every instance of their late regret is a mirror reflecting their own shortcomings, not a reflection of any inadequacy in you. Consider the metaphor of a seasoned sailor navigating stormy seas. A true navigator knows the worth of their sturdy vessel and the treasure of safe harbor. If a wayward passenger fails to appreciate the skill and resilience that guide the ship through treacherous waters, then, when they finally cry out for help, the ship has already sailed into calmer, more promising horizons. Their pleas, however earnest, cannot alter the course that has been set by your unwavering self-respect. Their regret, arriving like a belated tide, is too weak to wash away the marks of your journey. It's not your duty to repair what was abandoned in the wake of their indifference. For every misstep they took is but a lesson that reinforces your inherent strength and worth. In moments of quiet reflection, you may ask yourself, what if I had tried harder? Or could I have changed their mind? Yet the answer is simple. Real value is never something that can be forced or salvaged with desperate measures. Your worth is as intrinsic and undeniable as the sunrise that follows the darkest night. If someone is not capable of appreciating that light from the very beginning, then their later lament is merely the sound of their own missed chance echoing into the void. As the saying goes, if you don't value yourself, no one else will. Their belated acknowledgement is not a remedy for what was lost. It is a testament to the fact that they were never truly capable of holding on to something so luminous. Every encounter, every moment of disregard only serves to carve out more space for your self-assurance. With each experience, you become a bit more like that steadfast mountain, unmoved by the shifting sands of regret and half-hearted attempts at reconciliation. You learn that the power to decide who stays in your life lies entirely in your hands. The choice is yours. Welcome back those who, despite their tardy regrets, prove themselves worthy of your time, or continue forward enriched by the lessons of past oversights. Their remorse, arriving when the window of opportunity has long closed, is nothing more than a reminder that true appreciation must be present from the very start. Ultimately, the journey of understanding your worth is both liberating and empowering. It teaches that the regrets of others are not your responsibility to fix, and that the loss they experience is theirs alone. Their regret is like a dim shadow trailing behind a radiant figure. It underscores the fact that what you offered was invaluable and irreplaceable. In the grand tapestry of life, each thread of neglect and each strand of regret weaves a picture that affirms your exceptional value. Every experience, every moment of forgotten brilliance by someone unworthy contributes to the mosaic of your self-respect. So when regret comes knocking, let it remind you that your light was never meant to be dimmed by those who could not see its radiance from the start. Their loss is not a wound upon your soul. It is merely a lesson in the art of discerning who truly deserves a place in your life.